Hi, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Renee. For those of you that are new here, I'm an artist, I'm a life and health coach, entrepreneur, and I'm really excited about today's video. We're going to be talking about how to protect yourself from psychic projection. And this is a topic that I went into more detail with on my Substack, which is my blog. Definitely encourage you to go read about this on there. All of my relevant links are either under the video or in my community post section. So don't be shy, go find me on there. But yeah, that is today's topic. And it is inspired by my time live streaming. So as of today, who knows, maybe it will change in the future. I don't think live streaming is for me, but yeah, this is how I came to that. And this video is inspired by how I experience live streaming, and kudos to everybody that makes it look so easy. It's definitely has its challenges. So yeah, I was inspired to make this video after live streaming and experiencing a larger amount of projection. And what I want to say about projection and what motivates this video is that I don't think projection is always a bad thing. I think that it's just a natural thing that happens in life. People project, and I feel like projection is life is just about managing projection. And if you know how to navigate it, it's less intimidating. You're going to have a better life experience. So why not just learn the ins and outs and how to protect yourself psychologically, spiritually, energetically from psychic projection? So I'm going to be pulling from what I wrote today on my blog. So if you see me looking here, that's where I'm getting it from. But yeah, like I said, live streaming was a very interesting experience. I'm undecided about whether or not that is something I'm going to be doing in the future, but it definitely showed me a few things. I think it's very much an exchange. There's a lot of energy being kind of sent your way physically, whether it's comments, and also I felt it like spiritually and emotionally too. And what happens is that although this takes place in our daily life projection, like with our friends, family, coworkers, people we come across in real life, I feel like the internet is just, it happens on like a bigger scale, and it has like a different kind of effect because the internet is a public forum, right? So anytime you put yourself in a position to be seen on any public forum, whether you're a social media content creator, whether you're a performer, whether you're an artist, I was all of the above. If you're promoting your business, even, you become somewhat of a public figure. The truth is that it's more accessible than ever to become a public figure on some level. Yes, it's a spectrum, and some people experience more, you know, widespread notoriety, but in a way it's kind of become this accessible thing. So it's very interesting, and it made me think. And I don't think that you can avoid projection. I think that you just have to learn how to manage it, how to navigate it, so that you can have the best life experience possible, and most importantly, not take those inside of you to mean something about yourself or to distort your internal world. So a few things, right? I have a new microphone. I hope that this improves my audio quality. Let me know any feedback in the comments. And I also want to say thank you for all of your kind messages, your kind comments. I read them. I really, really appreciate all of the kindness I receive. And that's part of what keeps me coming back on my channel to talk to you guys. So I appreciate it. And yeah, let's get into today's video, and you'll find this in more detail on my blog. So I highly encourage you to go onto there. But yeah, live streaming was interesting because it's more of an exchange. I'm not only speaking, but I'm also receiving. I'm receiving a lot of people's energy, a lot of people's thoughts, and something that I'm learning, and I'm probably going to make a separate video about, is that I'm a different kind of, you have to know yourself, right? So I am an artist. Like, that was primarily like my first career choice, was artistry. I was a singer, I made songs, and I experienced projection in that realm too. But there's just something to be said about like what how much projection you experience. And when I was going to say something about music, but It'll come back to me. Yeah. So when you're online, it's similar to when you make music, basically, because you're sharing your thoughts, you're sharing your insights, you're trying to communicate, right? Like you're trying to open yourself up so that you can even have, first of all, the audacity to say things, and second of all, like just you want to be able to access that internal part of yourself that has these things to express. And oh, this is what I was going to say. Something I'm learning about artistry that's very cool is that there's different archetypes of different kinds of artists. For example, something I learned about myself, which is really helping me in my career and just on a personal level, is understanding the way that I create, like understanding my own creative process has been really helpful because it's taken me out of comparing it to other people's. And what I mean by that is that there are different types of artists. These are my New Year's nails, by the way. Ah, so cute. But there are different kinds of artists. And if you're trying to be an artist that you're not, you're going to feel like you're failing because that's just not meant for you. Like that's not your archetype, so to speak. So something I'm learning about myself is that I create from a place of like my inner world. Like I'm a deep thinker. I have an internal reason for why I create these things that is very much purpose driven, is shaped by my spirituality, is shaped by my internal experience, by my inner world. So I'm not necessarily the kind of artist that thrives off of like performance and, the public aspect. So just learning that about myself has been really helpful and has helped me access, like, I feel a deeper layer to all of my work, whether it's my music or my YouTube videos. Like knowing that I'm creating from this internal space has really helped me and is really providing a more stable sense of identity because again, it comes to knowing yourself. You have to know the kind of person that you are, the kind of creator that you are if you're a creative, if you're an artist, the kind of business person that you are if you're an entrepreneur, the kind of field that you feel gravitated toward, whether any kind of profession that you want to do, you know what I mean? So, me, I do a lot of different things. I am learning about myself that I do not do well with just one thing. I like to have my hands in different pots, like I like to create as an artist. I like to make music. I like to make videos. This is a form of public speaking. I'm learning that I like to do that. I have a blog. I like writing. I was also a writer in my profession. And then my latest thing as of early last year is life and health coaching. Like there's just some part of me that feels really drawn to this peculiar career choice. So, knowing that about myself has really been helping me. And I encourage you to identify your own creative process just so that you can really become uninhibited and create from that place that empowers you, whether you are a performer or you are somebody who, like me, your work comes from like a really deep internal place. So the reason that I mentioned this is because live streaming was interesting because I didn't understand that maybe I'm not so much a performer, and I felt like live streaming was kind of pushing me into that performer space, which is not right or wrong. It's just not the way that I choose to create. So I experienced a lot of kind of clashing within my own identity as a creator through live streaming, which was very interesting to observe. But yeah, anytime you put yourself on any public platform, anytime you just go about in the world and you're literally in public and you're talking to people, you're opening yourself up to a field of energy, a field of commentary, reactions, curiosity, skepticism, admiration, resistance. You're just opening yourself up to that, especially when you're creative and you're in a public forum. And that is what I describe as the public pressure of projection. That's what I describe as projection, is that energy that's being put onto you. And that's what I mean by that. So what I actually do, let me just take a moment to introduce myself. I feel that it's kind of hard to label because what I said earlier, like I do a bunch of different things, but here is a little bit more about me and the scope of my work. So, what I actually do and why it sometimes is hard to label, I'll do my best to explain it on here. Hopefully, if you're my tribe, you understand where I'm coming from. But I currently work as a health and life coach, but I don't feel that that title truly captures the scope of what I do, but it will work for now. What I'm really doing is not just offering mental reframes or motivational language, motivational speaking, I help people create new internal experiences. I help people create an internal world so that they can experience life differently. I'm helping people alter their perception so that they can have a different life experience, because when you change on the inside, you change your behavior, you change your habits, you change your identity, and you change your results. And when your perception changes, life changes. And I've lived this, so I know that it's true. This work extends psychologically, physically, emotionally, and practically. It also incorporates adult learning, which can be frustrating, destabilizing, and confronting. So I do help people navigate that process of just, the frustration of learning things that are new. And, what is more new than trying to create a different set of eyes to view the world through, a different state of being that I'm guiding people into. That can be very frustrating. So that's a big part of what I do. And to illustrate this, I'll say that this is how much your internal perception affects your world. Take something, some goal, for example. Two people want the same thing. One person believes that it's possible. The other person believes that it's not possible. What's the difference? It's not intelligence, it's not talent, it's perceived capability. It's what I refer to a lot on my channel as self-esteem. That is my domain, helping people better their self-esteem. But I had to give you some background so that you can kind of understand the picture that I'm trying to paint. Where does my perspective come from? You can read more about me on my blog. I won't get into that in this video, but let's talk a little bit more about projection. I'm going to give you guys an intro to what projection is. So here we go. Projection intensifies the more visible that you become, which is why I'm feeling called to speak on this. And in today's world, visibility is no longer reserved for celebrities. Anyone who creates, shares, speaks, or shows up publicly, especially online, becomes a surface for other people's internal worlds. And to illustrate how projection functions in real life and my personal experience with projection, again, we all experience it on different levels, but I'll speak for myself. As an artist, right? Because I create from a deep place, right? I'm sharing my internal world through my lyrics. It's not like I'm not making like club bangers. You know what I'm saying? Like I sing like soul soul music, I guess you could say. And it's intimate, right? Music is intimate, and music creates a form of emotional access. What happens, and I'm noticing this even in the online space, is that when people connect deeply to your work, they often begin attaching fantasies, desires, assumptions about who you are as a person. And as an artist, you want people to feel connected to your work, but there has to be a separation between your work and you as a person, which is a line that I'm currently in real time navigating. And that connection can be beautiful. It's a part of art. It's a part of why people create in the first place. You know what I mean? To share their experience. I hope the audio is okay. I'm going to listen to this later. But so that is a way that I've experienced projection as an artist, and simply, as a woman. A lot of women can relate to this example of, people projecting their desire onto you. That's a form of projection. And one of the most important things I had to learn is that someone else's desire does not obligate me to meet it. Someone else's fantasy is not my identity. And the bottom line when it comes to projection that you can take from this video is that someone else's idea of you is not who you are. If you don't understand that, you're going to think that that is who you are. How other people look at you, other people's perception of you, is who you are. This is where that inner work comes in, because you need to have a strong sense of self so that projection does not affect you on a psychic level. And what happens with projection is that it tries to pull you into a role, it tries to put you in a box. Even, Baby Renee, when I was making music, one of my songs said, "Can't fit inside a box, knock it off." I don't like that. Like, I don't like that. And when people project, they try to put you into one thing. Me personally, that's not going to work, but they'll try to pull you into a role. Okay, if you're a model, you're only a muse. Like you're only here to like look pretty and be a hanger. That's all you are. You're just an object. Or, if you're a teacher, okay, you're only a teacher, you're only like an authority on this subject, but you outside of this, you're nothing else. Or they try to project onto you a fantasy. Okay, you're the woman of my dreams. That's all you are. And outside of that, I don't really know. Like, no, you are your own person outside of those things. That's why knowing how to navigate projection is very important. And how do you navigate projection? Developing a solid internal, inside, inner work. That's what my channel is all about, internal identity. For me, growing, I always share things that I learn. Creating this identity was not optional for me. It was a form of protection. I had to, adapt and create this for myself to remain, most importantly, because I really find so much happiness in being creative. I started to do this to remain connected to my creativity, my body of work, whether it's music, whether it's these videos, whether it's my coaching and my programs that I create from scratch with pride, with love to help people achieve their goals without fragmenting myself to meet other people's expectations. It is a skill, okay? It is a skill. And the good news is that the better you become at developing this skill of managing projection and navigating projection while internally having a strong sense of self, a strong internal world, you can hold space for so much more in your life, so many new experiences. You can hold space for more socialization because you won't be triggered by things that people say. You can hold space for people's differences. Like, it truly improves the quality of your life, which is why I wanted to speak on it today. And it is a form of an internal boundary. So, what is psychic projection? Let me just elaborate on that a little bit more. Psychic projection, I chose that term today because I feel like it plays with your mind sometimes. Psychic projection isn't just a spiritual concept, it's a psychological, emotional, and relational concept. At its core, projection is when, this is the definition of projection that I'm going off of in case you are unclear on what projection is. At its core, projection is when someone takes their internal world, their beliefs, their fears, their wounds, their insecurities and limitations, and tries to place it on you. Like, they try to put that on you. That is a projection. Again, it is just something that happens. It is just a phenomena. I'm not going to label it as good or bad. The point is, what are we going to do about it? How can we work with this thing that happens in human nature? Sometimes projection is obvious, for example, a rude comment or something. Sometimes it's subtle, it's covert, you're not really aware of what's going on. Sometimes it comes disguised as concern, advice, or curiosity. How do you know you're being projected on? Projection can make you question yourself. It can distort your perception, which is where I feel is dangerous. Like, it gets into kind of dangerous territory because it's taking away from your life experience. Projection can drain your energy. Projection can quietly pull you away from your timeline, from your life path, and it can quietly undermine your confidence. If you don't have strong internal boundaries, you can end up living other people's realities, other people's way of looking at the world, which is a big, big thing you want to avoid because not everybody, you don't want to be inside of everyone's head. You don't want to live other people's realities. You want to live your own. That's a privilege that you have, is getting to exercise your right to do that, your free will, and your right to experience life on your own terms and be happy and sexy. So, I'm going to give you only one of my tips on managing this, and you're going to have to go and find out the other two that I gave on my blog by clicking the link below. Number one, here's the first tip I'll give you on how to protect yourself from psychic projection. If you like this video, don't be shy. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, leave me your thoughts on how maybe you personally feel projected on in your own life. But number one, I don't know which one I want to give you. Let me decide. Okay, I'll give you the first one. The first tip on protecting yourself from a psychic projection is owning your timeline and not allowing other people to drag you into theirs. And this takes a certain level of decisiveness, okay? And time ownership is an internal boundary because You cannot expect other people to have the same, I don't want to say respect for your time, but consideration for your time as you have for your own time. And if you are not respecting your own time, how can you expect other people to respect your time? You know what I mean? So owning your timeline is a huge way that you can protect yourself psychically. One of the most effective ways to protect yourself from projection is owning your timeline. When you don't, other people's fears, other people's finances and financial capability, other people's indecision, which is a major time waster. Believe me, don't learn the hard way. Live your life. Do not let other people's indecisiveness alter your reality, your dreams. Don't let their indecisiveness create any kind of chaos in your life. Limitations begin dictating your life when you allow other people to control your timeline. Owning your timeline means internally deciding when something is happening and committing it to yourself for yourself. This is why it's important, because you then can move the desire out of your imagination and into your material reality. You can bring your imagination, your imagined desire into real life. Who wants to let their dreams stay in their head, in their imagination, their whole life? Don't you want to see it come into reality? And when you own your timeline, what you're practicing is you're practicing a sense of, my light died, we're still going to go. You're practicing a sense of decisiveness. Decisiveness is very, very powerful, because what happens is you remove the dream, the desire that you have from imagination. I mean, from negotiation. It's not no longer a negotiation because you've decided. Okay, that is the first tip I have for you in how to protect yourself from psychic projection. If you want to read about the other two, go and subscribe to my blog, Don't Be Shy, and I encourage you to upgrade to a paid membership. I'm an artist. That is one of the ways that you can support my work. I believe it's $7.99 a month, and you also get to improve yourself and partake in this kind of personal development along the way, so it doesn't hurt anybody. Okay, I'll leave a link below. Let me know your thoughts. Leave me a like or a comment on this video. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts.